Hello, welcome to Wednesday Hump Day Energy Balance. My name is Sue McLaughlin. My practice is Inner Source Living. You can find me at innersourceliving.com if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me and my work. Today we are going to focus on anger. And anger gets a bad rap. And it's kind of obvious why when you see violence in the world, but anger, when it's healthy, is a cue. For me, it's a cue to check in with myself. Why am I frustrated with this? Is there something, with me that I'm frustrated and this is mirroring it? Or is it, a lot of times it's a signal to me, and maybe it's time for me to move on somewhere. So I'm not saying, oh, you get angry and you have a tantrum and you leave. It's more that, oh, I'm supposed to let go of something, a belief, a group, something like that. Or it also can be the call to action to us. So we see an injustice, we get angry about it, and we're going to, I don't know, we'll do petitions, we'll donate money, we'll speak out about it. We'll step in to calm minds and voices down so that things can get resolved appropriately. Also coming up today, we're going to work on the adrenals because there's a lot of fatigue going on. The large intestine, control, rigidity, and bladder, and just holding on to that frustration. So that anger, frustration, whatever word feels appropriate for you. But it's kind of same but different levels of vibration of what it is. All right. So for anybody who's new to watching this, I'm going to follow this body talk protocol. Sometimes we bring in other modalities. That's the flexibility of body talk. I am going to muscle test on my hands. So if you see me move my hands fidgety, I'm actually muscle testing, what I call yeses and nos, navigating this chart. I might refer to something in my book as well, like an emotion or something more specific. All right, I think we're just good to go. So let's all settle in. You can be in a place where you can concentrate and hear this. You can play this any time of the day. You can play it before you go to bed. You can play it every day if it feels helpful to kind of reset you. Okay. All right, so we're starting with an organ, large intestine, the entire large intestine. There's 3 pieces. Usually you can get broken down into 3 pieces of it. Since I started that, ascending, transcending, descending. But in this case, it's the whole large intestine. And there is what's coming in outside of us is headspace. And not understanding where people are in their own headspace, especially when we see, so this can be specific to things like the COVID-19. And I know in Ohio, we opened up outdoor seating, and some places people were really good about it. Other places people were like crowding and didn't care. They're going to the bar, and it's kind of like, where's your headspace? So some people are at home like, other people are like, oh, I wish that was me, and they're like, everyone's being too over concerned. So it's just like this headspace kind of is the word that keeps coming up. And then our what can be in a rigid response to it, sort of this clench, and the lack of control. So you can go out and you can think you can only make your good decisions or what feels good for you. Others will have a different response to that, and we don't want to let that lack of control of what others are doing get us in a place where we contract. All right. So we're doing what's also like a sub-session with this. It is, it's a pathological consciousness anchored in our heart. Gallbladder is coming up. So, and releasing So it can be about movement because it releases bile. It can also be about courage and catalyst because it's this releasing of like the digestive. It's like the catalyst to help break things down into our small intestine. And it can also hold anger and frustration. And so we have just like this releasing what's blocking some of our decisions, making it, having the courage to move forward. Yeah, because I don't know if any of you've noticed, but the roads are busier, more people are out now, and so what might have been like a calmer effect, like you felt like you were making good decisions and you had the courage, you could drive by and there weren't too many cars in the grocery parking lots, and now it's like, well, people are coming back out. All right, so there's a link to that. It's an active memory, a belief system that goes, the world is not a safe place. It's like stuck in our body image. And to explain more about the body part, or the body image piece of this, is that, well, first off, this is our bodies are being attacked. And so there might be something where something didn't feel safe to the harm of our physicality. And since it's a general balance, I'm not honing in on a specific time period, event, age, anything like that. It's just your body is just going to know something might be reminded for you. And so anywhere where this active memory is still plugged in the wall, you want to unplug it, take the charge off it. So there is, it helps that courage and that movement forward. And like, okay, I can allow this. And then we have sight coming in again. So body here. So we can't see the enemy. You can't see the virus, right? You can't see if it's on a product at the store somebody touched. You can't see if it's on money. All these things we take for granted. We don't know who was there before us, and we don't know who's asymptomatic or not, right? If somebody isn't, in full-blown symptoms, we just look like this, right? And so there's just this anxiety there with that. And somehow moving forward, because we have this seeing is believing as well. Ooh, this is another, so here's the other side of that coin. Seeing is believing. Well, everybody else looks great outside, so they must be healthy. So I'm just gonna believe they're healthy, I'm gonna believe I'm healthy and it's safe, right? And I will tell you, I kind of walk this line where I have to kind of check in with myself. Oh, wait, is it safe? Is that smart? Do I really need to go someplace today? That type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So some people are on either side, and then there's those like me in the middle that we ebb and flow depending on the situation. All right. Okay, so this is a sub-session that's going to tap out on its own. Going back up to that large intestine where we started, and the link to that, it's actually more, it's in other modalities, it's circles. So you in your house have your circle of people, right? And you maybe have a good idea of where they've been. They've either gone out to work, they've gone to the park and hung out with their friends. You have to trust, and you have your level of trusting. And so then I feel the circumference just starts, some of it is the ring starts to expand. Okay, now we go see the grandparents. Now we go see our parents that we've been staying away from. So it starts to expand that way. The other piece of that is when everyone has their own circles, and then these circles are going to start to come together. So you're going back to your office, or you're going out, like I said, to eat outside at a restaurant, or have a drink at a bar. There's this. So you might be connecting with people, and our circles are going to start to circumvent. There's that level of where we have this level of trust, and then we go out and we have a level of trust and level of trust. When we go out in the world, subconsciously, there is this energy that we don't know about the other circles. And if they start to overlap and we can't see if they're healthy or not, we don't know their headspace in their decisions that they've been making, but we know ours. We want to build some trust, in this overlap. As we start to expand and go back into the world and into community. All right, so that is our first formula. In Body Talk, we create formulas, and then we tap them out. We tap them out in our brain. We take this formula and call attention to our brain. We save it in our heart, and then we get into that gut intuition, which I think is really going to be important, because what we can't see, we can trust what our heart and our gut says. So that's where we have to now get out of this brain and start to trust as we navigate the world here. All right, so I'm going to put my hands across here for the large intestine, and you can do the same. If you're just listening, I'm just laying my hands under my breast, a little bit lower, but in that center area, so that it's really the holding the transcending part of our large intestine, with the intention that it's the entire large intestine. Allowing us to take some nice deep breaths as I'm tapping here. We want to be able to have we want to relax a little bit and let go of control where we think we have it when we really don't have it, right? Because then our headspace can get a little crazy. It can get over-challenged, overwhelmed. And we can go down a rabbit hole, and we don't want to do that. One more deep breath. Okay. So this information we came up in this formula has a conscious draining and an unconscious draining. And so again, that's some of that fatigue that we have going on. Anger can drain us, a spike of anger and go down, and it's like in trying to hold in and control things as if you're holding your breath, and then you get out of the store, or whatever it is for you. Stores just, I guess, because that's the only thing I've ever done is gone to the grocery, gone to my safe environment of my office space, drove around. So those are my examples right now. Okay. So this is done processing, and we're ready to move on. You can take your hand away. If you're holding, you can take your hand away. And we're gonna see where we're gonna go here. All right, bladder. Bladder's coming up, anger, holding on to it. So again, control. So large intestine, we can hold it in right until we get to a place where we can appropriately eliminate. Same with the bladder, like it's that holding that in, and it's a container of frustration and lack of control of others' decisions. So that's what's coming up. And so we can, where we have control and where we don't. And again, this anger and frustration. We want our body to function healthily, and we also want to have our emotions come and go. Like, we have our emotion and we want them to go when we no longer need them, so that we don't blow our top, right? So we're not holding this in, and then maybe no one out in the public or on TV that you see that makes you frustrated. Sorry, my TV's over here, so I looked over there. It makes you frustrated. So you blow up at the people you don't want to blow up at, right? Like, and we are all in that place of, our fuse is getting short. So that's another part of these intentions every Wednesday. Let's extend the fuse, let's flush out and be able to kind of get refreshed, fill our cup back up, and so that we can show up how we want to. All right, that we're circling that. Coming up with next, it's a technique that comes up called switching. That's that fight or flight, on off kind of experience. Something that definitely can be triggering us as we go back, back to the office, back into new regiments in the office. Like I have a friend who said, like, only one person in the kitchen at a time, and then you got to wipe down everything. So you just can't go in and get your cup of coffee, talk to your coworker. You have to, like, confine yourself and then clean up after yourself. And did you get all of it? And did the person before you get all of it? So that's, and you can tell the intensity that I'm speaking from, that's this thing that we keep quiet, but that's how the energy of it that comes up. And again, it's lack of judgment or lack of trust. And what's combining this, the bladder and the anger and this switching, is this judgment about other people and their decisions. That's a big part of it. All right. So we have bladder, we have switching, this like switching on and off, fight or flight, and then adrenals. And adrenals, again, adrenal fatigue. So, when you're working on a large project, you're doing something like moving, it takes a lot of energy, but those are obvious things. They're outside of us. They have a clear ending. This does not have a clear ending. This is outside of us and inside of us, but it is also, I would describe it as, it's an unconscious thing. Everybody's watching their step. You hope, right? And so this is, and then there's this fatigue of, again, we're talking about circles and this expansion. So the fatigue of our core circle getting bigger and going out, and then and then there's the other people's circles where I'm going to the office and we're circumventing again, and we're circumventing. And so is it safe or not to this adrenal fatigue of fighting or breathing? I think I've said this in a previous video. When I have gone to the grocery, I realize now that, like, going in, I'm preparing myself, I'm breathing, I'm staying grounded. But I usually, I go in, it's kind of how I always shop. I go in, I don't peruse, I just get what I need, and then I go. And so that process on an unconscious level has been a lot more draining, because, we're seeing people with masks. If you go to certain stores, like Home Depot or Trader Joe's, you wait outside in line. Like, it's completely different. And so enough, but you know what I'm talking about. All right. So we have, okay, so that's the end of this formula. We're going to tap out. Your bladder is where, if you had jeans on, like where your zipper would be. I would hold there if you would like. My other hand just goes to my heart. And so if you would like to put two hands anywhere, you could put your second hand on your heart right now. This is, again, so we want to calmly let go of this unconscious anger that's building up. We don't want to keep this switching. We want it to either stop altogether, or we want it to switch us back to grounding much easier, so we don't have this adrenal fatigue and we can have more energy. Okay, I'm just taking some nice deep breaths. I'm going to start tapping that out, calling this information up to our brain. Let's realign, let's recalibrate. Get in alignment to what's a healthy way for us to expand and respond. Tapping this information into our heart minds, stored there, and then also in our gut mind, building a stronger gut intuition. Deep breath in and out. Okay. All right, so done tapping this out. It's still processing. All right. That formula is finished processing. All right, that's our balance for this week. Really significant and feels timely for our moving in, even the restrictions by the governors are like expanding. And so it's just timely to help us remain calm, not have an over response and anger. If you're getting frustrated or angry about something, maybe you need to go, that doesn't mean that just whatever feels right and safe and appropriate so that we can start to build confidence again in that the world is safe, or it's not really any more dangerous than it was before in a lot of ways. All right, again, thank you. My name is Sue McLaughlin. Inner Source Living is my practice. I have opened to in-session or in-person sessions. I have a whole protocol for COVID on how to keep my clients safe, myself safe, and the other tenants in the building safe. There's not very many of us there. Reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, take care. There we go.